I might be now.
Okay.
I mean, there was
Okay.
so the deodorant
So
I use
before,
is Old Spice
so
Fiji.
pre-Fiji,
There was
pre-Fiji.
Fiji came out when in the original one. It was one of
Right.
the original releases. I can't remember what the other one was, but it was amazing, and it was only around for like 6 months, and then just like slowly, every single place that I went to just stopped carrying it, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody knows why. And I don't remember the name anymore. Like
Yeah.
I don't I can't remember what it's called. I'd probably have to look it up. Which one do you use? Timber?
I use timber. It's got a hint of mint.
That one's a manlier smell, like the Fiji
Man as fuck. It was
the
man as fuck.
the Fiji one I have is it smells like palm trees,
Okay.
and
That's fair.
it's not overbearing, so it's what
Mine's not overbearing.
I didn't say it
What
was.
do you mean?
I'm
Well,
just saying
that's you implied.
I might have
Sir.
maybe you whatever the word topsis will apply implied did. Been a long day at work, so
Dude, I understand.
what's
I've
it?
been streaming all day and like it's just Sunday is my big like make stuff day
Yeah,
or like dance monkey dance in front of the kind people.
yeah.
And so that's what I've been doing all day. And then so I not only I think I did like 6 or 7 hours today
Mm-hmm.
on stream and then took an hour and a half off and hung out with Jenny for a bit and then started Planet Destiny podcast. Got done around 9. Didn't get off the phone call with Nim because he and I enjoy each other's company.
Yeah,
Not saying that everybody on the podcast doesn't enjoy everybody's company, but it's usually like he and I hanging out at the end.
yeah.
So we were just kind of chatting it up a little bit, and then didn't get done with that until like 9:20.
I actually,
So
I tuned in. I had it up, and then
yeah,
took a shower. And by the time I got out of my shower, you guys were done. So
yeah,
I didn't really actually listen to any of it because I didn't have my headphones on. But I saw you guys. You were there.
yeah. We did the thing. We showed up.
It
We did the
kind
whole
of
thing.
it kind of brings me into one of the first questions I was going to talk to you about. So
Okay.
I'm Peter, and this is the Pump Pod, and this is
Hi,
episode
Peter.
7
My
with
name's
Dan.
Dan.
This is Danfinity right here.
Hello. Hi.
So you are of content creators, and most of the people that I'm having on the pod are obviously Destiny content creators. That's where I spend most of my time.
Right.
Um,
Same.
you are probably one of the most prolific um content creators that we have in Destiny, because I don't think
Okay.
that a lot of
That's
people
very kind of
know.
you to say.
You've got
Very kind of.
technically you've got 3 podcasts and 2 streams. Because I'm kind of including Destiny, Planet Destiny, in both of those.
Yeah.
Because that's a podcast and it's a stream as well.
Yeah. And okay. And starting in October, like October 14th, I'll be streaming on Mondays to the
Okay.
channel again because I kind of missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've got Sidequest Sunday.
Yeah. Which is currently on hiatus.
And you've got Destiny Digest.
Yes.
And then you have, of course, your own Twitch stream.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you're doing that you're hiding from me that I don't know about?
So secret, not so secretly, I'm writing songs.
Okay. I knew about that prior because we had talked about this whenever we had met before, and just
at the indie,
in
at the indie
passing and
meetup.
stuff.
Yeah.
Because I actually listened to the one song like months ago that I think that you have on Bandcamp that you released with it was like an Indiana compilation like album.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I used to be in a band called Bone Setters.
Mm-hmm.
And we were recording an album at the time that was released. That album never got released, but that song did.
I enjoyed the song.
Well, thanks. I'll have to send you the rest of the album just to kind of listen through. I have a link that I send to people occasionally when I'm like, "Is this good? Should we actually release it?" Um, but normally, so it we were recording it in our it so at the time of the recording of that, we were doing it all in our garage. That doesn't sound like a garage recording at all.
No, it sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean,
Yeah,
well, I'm assuming that
our
you probably
bassist
that was probably tracked separately, or were you guys all playing live then?
uh, it's a mixture.
Because I
It's a
assume
mixture of both.
you maybe
Uh,
played probably like bass and drums together, but mic'd differently, or
so initially when we did the demos for everything, it was a hold on, sorry, I'm getting a weird thing.
ooh,
Okay.
is it a
All right,
good? Is
cool.
it a good weird?
It's something. I don't know. It's weird. But so we um we initially when we demoed the album, which was slated to be called Deep Time, um, it was we recorded all together and then Drew then took those as like just the examples for how things should go.
Mm-hmm.
That was our bassist. He's also like a really awesome engineer. He engineered several like local Indianapolis bands,
Mm-hmm.
including like Joshua, Sloth Pop, Ever Thus the Deadbeats. I forget there were a couple other projects here and there, but so he was recording it all in our garage, and Cody, our drummer, then recorded separately, and everybody else kind of like did things on their own time. So if Sam, our guitarist slash keyboardist, was available, he would put in like a couple of hours, or like if I needed to put in some time for like guitar lines, I would do that, or vocals. Like it was all kind of like together, um, in like a close space of time. It took us months because like everybody has different schedules and stuff.
Yeah.
But like it was kind of a hodgepodge of when you could get somebody scheduled in. He did Cody's stuff first because that's the engine,
Yeah.
and then the bass is the belt that keeps the whole thing running together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then every other piece is just kind of accoutrement,
Yeah.
really. Like guitar lines are guitar lines. Um, Vocals, while important, are just hot air.
Yeah.
And so like it's like it all kind of came together over the period of several months. And the funny thing, do you know who the Decemberists are?
Yes.
Okay, weird fucking thing. This was around the time when they were trying to do the RFRA Act in Indianapolis or in
Okay.
Indiana,
Yeah.
where it would be the Religious Freedom Reclamation Act or something like that, I
Mm-hmm.
believe it was called. And it was all around that whole story of this guy didn't want to bake cakes for people because they were gay.
Yeah.
And that was the fire starter for it. And local businesses started putting stickers in their windows saying, "Hey, we are a place where anybody can buy anything. We are proudly available to every human being on the face of the planet, regardless of your gender, your sex, your orientation, the whole thing."
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we got contacted. It was the weirdest email that I received while in the band, and I received some weird stuff in my time. But we got contacted. I want to say by the banjo player for the Decemberists,
Hmm.
and he was like, "Hey, we're gonna do this thing. Um, I like he produced like Leghorn Slim and a couple of other like bigger bands outside of like Decemberists and stuff.
Mhm.
And he's like, "We're gonna do this thing. I have roots in Indiana, and we think that shit is bullshit.
Yeah.
So we are going to come out like we're going to put together a compilation of like 12 artists. We want you to be a part of it, and we're going to put it out, and all of the funds are going to go fight the RFRA."
Okay.
And so I was like, "Oh, fucking cool! Yeah, that sounds cool. That sounds really rad." Because it already had like, he was like, "It's already got some traction with like Rolling Stone. We're going to have a story about it, the whole line." Um, I don't know where along the line they ended up dropping out of it, but it then got picked up by, I was working at a record label called Joyful Noise,
Mhm.
off and on for years, just sending out stuff in their warehouse, and they picked it up, and they added like Sonic Youth, like Thurston Moore from the Sonic Youth,
Yeah.
and like a bunch of different artists, man. Like it was insane, and that got covered by Rolling Stone too. So like every artist had like a special lathe print cut of their song, like individual copies that you could pre-order, and you got the full like digital copy free if you purchased a lathe cut record. It was so weird. It was really cool, really weird to be a part of. But it also was tied in with Little Bub, the cat, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I was wondering because I saw the cat thing because it's not something
Yeah.
whenever I saw the artwork and it's like, 50 stars and a cat.
Yeah. Mike Brodowski, the owner of Russian Recording down in Bloomington,
Mhm.
Indiana, he owns Little Bub.
Okay.
And or like Little Bub found him. And so he was heavily involved in this, and he's worked closely with Joyful Noise in the past, to the point where Little Bub has an album, has like a really awesome album that you can go and check out. Um and it's like electronica, and it's chiptune, and it's really cool. And but yeah, he put together a band of like Bloomington folk, and they made a band for Little Bub, and Little Bub was like the spear the the head of the spear on that one. It's just nuts, man. It's really cool. That that song got to be a part of it. But yeah,
That's a
so
really interesting tidbit. 'Cause
it's my life has
I don't
seen
remember like
so many
reading about
phases.
that. I just remember the album cover and like reading the
Yeah,
name of it. I don't remember reading any backstory into this. That's really interesting.
yeah, and like my life, I've done so many different things. Like I started out wanting to be like a comic book illustrator, and then like dropped out of two art schools, much to the chagrin of my parents. Went then jumped headfirst into bands.
Yeah.
Did that for man, like 12, 13 years.
Mm.
And then like streaming came into my life, and like I making stuff for the internet has then like taken over the
So
last.
how did you go from like the bands? That's a very you can do that online. But if you're in a band, you actually have to have, some of the organic like IRL like interaction with people and if you're going to play with them cuz obviously I know you did play, you
Yeah,
guys toured like how
yeah.
did you go from was it just like did you have like bad experiences with like managers like events or was it just like team like band members just like, we're not really getting along that well and then you kind of just were like by yourself and you're like I have these hands that can do shit and I want to do something, you know?
Well, I don't like it's a little bit of it's a little bit of a lot of things. It's we had Bone Sitters had been a band for 10 years. And it had survived a lot of like little nuances here and there. Like we survived our first record was supposed to be put out on a label, and then that label folded, and then we had to crowdfund to get the album put out. And then the second album was put out on a label, and then the third one never was. Although like we were kind of courting around with that. We had booking agents. We had two different booking agents a lot in our time. we're all still pretty good friends,
Yeah.
at the end of it. I don't see them all that much anymore. I see Drew, our bassist, probably the most out of all of them because everybody else kinda went and did their own thing. Like, Cody and Sam went and joined a band called Bye Bye out of Indianapolis.
Okay.
Drew doesn't do music anymore, but he, like we hang out quite a bit because we were, like, pretty close. Before we had a van, we had two cars, and Drew and I could fit everything. I have a Mercury Grand Marquis,
Yeah.
and I could fit 3/4 of the band's gear in that Mercury Grand Marquis. And the other car that we had was a Prius. And and, like, that was Sam's car, and he could only fit his stuff in there. So it was like, "Okay, you fit your stuff in there, I'll fit the drums, the bass amp, all my shit. We'll throw that all in the car, and we'll go around that way." And Drew and I always ended up, like, hanging out way into the night. He would either be driving home or I'd be driving home because the other one was drunk. And, like, it was a really good time. So, like, he and I really spent the most time out of all those years together. And when I don't know. So, I was about to turn 30. The Our tour manager had dropped us out of nowhere. The album that we were shopping around, we just stopped hearing back from the label that was gonna put it out.
Okay.
I hadn't booked any shows because I was depressed at the time. I had been playing Destiny, um, since, like, a few weeks after launch, but it wasn't until, like, I was in a Dad's a Destiny clan and, like, I would hit the button occasionally on
Mhm.
Sundays to, like, do raids and stuff with the dads just so that I could, like, goof off with my buddies.
Yeah.
And so that other folks of our Dad's a Destiny clan could, like, watch the hijinks happen.
Yeah.
And then it went from that to, like, September of 2016. It's crazy to think that that's
3
how long it's
years
been.
ago.
Yeah, 3 years ago. Um, I was about to turn 30 on the 24th, and I said, "I either wanna be" like, I was a smoker at the time. I had smoked for several years, and it's kind of a morbid, weird thought or weird thing to say. It made more sense when I thought of it than it does now, looking back, but it was like, I either wanna be 30 or a smoker, and it sounds super fucking morbid, but so
No,
I
that
quit
just
s
feels like a really intoxicated conversation you would have with somebody.
Right, yeah, it does, but it made perfect sense to me.
And that was a sober thought.
That was a sober thought.
You're just
I
like,
wanna
"I'm
be
either gonna."
30 or a smoker, and I quit cigarettes on the 3rd of September, and on that same day, I put together a schedule and started streaming regularly,
You think that was kinda
and
like the starting streaming, did it was it something I don't did you, like, unconsciously do it to, like, have something to do so you didn't think about smoking?
I think it was because at the time, I was super depressed about the band falling apart that past summer, but we were all still roommates, and then, like, not only that and all the stuff that came with the band, but also, like, trying to quit cigarettes and having to, like, keep my hands busy and also
Yeah.
having this thing that was, like, so fresh and new and weird. Like, a lot of people didn't understand it, but, like, for me, it made perfect sense because it's just another route of performance.
Mhm.
Um, and so that's what I put my energy into. Like, after all of these things were kind of falling apart around me and, like, I was trying to make better life decisions for myself, I started putting my energy into this thing that I could drive solely by myself, right?
Yes. Yeah, 'cause I know that every single musician is it's just me being one too, like, you always
Uh-huh.
have this thought of I can make a whole album by myself. And
I can't.
it's not necessarily that you want to. You
Yeah.
sit there and think, and if you're ever like the leader of the band, like the singer or the lead guitarist or anything,
Right.
or some leaders are bassists or drummers, but whatever. Most of the time,
Yeah.
it's the singer or the guitarist or a mixture of both. They always have this thought in their head, like I could make a whole album by myself, like, or I
Right.
could direct a whole album by myself. And kind of doing the
Mhm.
stream, you're not making, like, say one stream is an album or one stream is a song. You're not necessarily doing it all by yourself,
Right.
but you're like
Because
you're you're
there's
you're the entertainment to the people that are watching, even though they're probably part of the music that you're
yeah.
making in the stream. Like they
I
are a huge part of it. Like you're kind of directing it still.
I get see, I never looked at it as like like a record. I never looked at like streaming as making an album or a record
Yeah,
because
it's a
those are
much
very
different.
deliberate things.
Yeah, it's a much
Tho
bigger compilation, and
Yeah.
it. But if you look at streaming, and I know more so of because I've just been making more and more YouTube videos. It feels a
Mhm.
lot like the creative process of making an album because I've done both. I still do make music on my own, but like
Yeah.
doing both, like even the streaming part of it, like it feels really similar. It's just
It
kind of
feels
like
like
with
making a live album.
yeah. It seems like
Like
the streaming one though, like it's
Yeah.
like in an album you have a clear cut end. Like this is it. Here's the album, and you release it.
Right. Right.
It's kind of similar, and then like maybe going doing the streaming is kind of performing it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a little that analogy kind of loses the analogy there, but like
Yeah. I
the
think it's more
process of it feels similar.
yeah, I think it's more like a live album because there's energy to it. You are reciprocating an audience's um energy as
Yeah.
well. And you're still having to put on a show.
Yeah.
Um because regardless of if there's like 4 people in chat or 400, there's a reason why they're there, right?
Mhm.
And it's because they want to be entertained by you or they want to learn something from you.
Mhm.
And so you have to put in the exact same effort as if there's like 400 people there for.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with music, with playing live shows. If you phone it in one night because there's only 4 people there, those 4 people remember that, and you probably won't be asked to play that venue
Yeah,
again.
those four people are gonna be like, those dudes
They're like, "Man,
sucked. I'm not
you
gonna
know
go
what?
there. Why are they at this X venue? Like, dude, I'm not gonna watch them.
I liked their album online, and they seem to have a lot of energy, but all of a sudden,
Yeah,
like,
this
they
one
come to my
show.
hometown and they stink it up."
How many times have you heard like somebody that's like, I love X band, like we'll just any big band, and they went to
Right.
one show and for whatever reason that one show they went to, that band was awful. It could have been any mixture of reasons. Somebody was sick, somebody wasn't there, somebody
Yeah.
just didn't care, somebody was drunk, somebody was high, who cares? But they remember that. Like they relate that
Yeah.
to their music after that. They're like, this album doesn't really quite. I still really like the album. I still really like their music, but it doesn't have the same. I don't know, like panache or whatever.
Right.
It's like missing that because of this performance that I saw them. Kind of like the whole thing they always say, like, don't ever meet your idols.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
And y
like it's
I'm
not necessarily that person's a bad person, but it's like you're in a public light. You forget these people have
yeah.
everyday lives, and it's like, oh, that guy was an asshole. He makes really good movies, though. I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm gonna watch
Yeah.
his new movie though, because he was.
Yeah, because
I
he's
tried
such
to.
a
I tried to
dick.
say hi to him at Target, but he just looked really mad to be at Target in the first place.
Yeah. Um, see, like, I just went and saw Pup. Have you heard of them?
Mm-mm. No,
Okay,
I have
so
not.
they're like a power punk band. Not a power punk, pop punk. I would say more pop punk. I would say
Power.
more pop punk. In the vein of your Weezers.
Okay.
Um, but like much better because they don't have years and years of bad decisions behind them.
They're
Um,
younger. They're younger.
they're younger. They're
Yeah.
way younger. But so this band, they just put out an album called Morbid Stuff, and they're touring around the United States. They came to Indianapolis, and a buddy of mine, because I had turned him on to it, he had won tickets, and he was like, "You know what? I got an extra ticket. You want to go with me since you turned me on to him?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds great." And there, the bands that played before them, they've probably been on tour for like a month, right?
Yeah.
And but each band gave their best, regardless of like how long they'd been doing it. And that's and I might not have liked the music, but I can respect that ethic behind it. And like I respect them as musicians and as entertainers and creators because of it.
Yeah. You have empathy for them because you kind of know what it's like.
Right. Because like I know Indianapolis is not like the place to go. Right? Like
Yeah.
we're in between Bloomington um and Chicago. Chicago being the big draw place, and we're a total flyover city, right?
Yeah.
Like so anytime there's a major festival, we're getting blacked out because the major festival going on in Chicago says you can't play anywhere within like 200 miles for 30 days.
Yeah.
So the fact that they were able to make it out to the city, they were able to put on a great show regardless of how big the crowd was. Because I've seen they played the Mara or the I forget what it's called now, but they played like the Egyptian Room in Indianapolis, which is huge. And
Yeah.
I've seen that room packed out. And this was like it was a Thursday for like pop punk bands.
Yeah.
So they got about half the room, which is I would think is really good for a Thursday.
Yeah.
Um and yeah, they put on a hell of a show. All of them did their best to put on the best show possible. And that's like as going into like making stuff, the idea for me is to make whatever I'm doing is to make it the best thing possible that I can. Because if I'm not putting in a lot of effort, regardless of what I get back from it, then what's the use of even doing it?
Exactly. This is a question that I have for you that
Okay.
I always find myself fighting myself for it, and there's like you have different you know qualities of your life and your health and that kind of come into with this. You're say you're a streamer, I'm a streamer, whoever, this is just an
Right.
X, this is just a hypothesis. Um, and I always hear that, stream as much as you can, just hit the button. I hear that a ton. Just hit it.
No.
I hear that a lot. And this isn't,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this, I'm trying to preface this to try to get it,
Mhm.
to where I want to get the question for. It's like, just hit the button. Say you don't have anything for a YouTube idea, you don't have anything for a podcast idea, you don't have anything that you're going to do stupid on Twitter to try to get attention or entertainment for people or out of people. Let's just say you're not necessarily depressed, you're not ill, you're just like, I'm tired, I don't really feel like doing it today. Like,
Yeah.
do you think it's better to actually take that time off when you could be doing it? Or would it be better
100%.
just to do streaming? You think it's to be better just
Uh,
to take the time off?
I think it's better to take the time off. And here's why. um so the past few months and I've been kind of open about this lately.
Hmm.
Past few months I've been like super number obsessed.
Yeah,
And it
I
was
remember
like
I was gonna ask you a little bit about that, so I'm glad that you brought it up. So I don't have to remember to ask you about it now, because I remember reading your tweets and I thought it was a really interesting string of tweets that you had.
yeah, I became I think this happens to a lot of people. I don't think it's just like me, and you shouldn't feel bad if it happens to you. I think it's a natural progression as a creator. Um when so I started looking at my numbers a lot more analytically because I looked at for a while there I was like, "Man, it would be really good to be partnered. It'd be really great to be partnered actually. You know
Hmm.
what? I'm going to try to get partnered." What do I need to do to get partnered? Do I need to take this more seriously? And that thought process then led me down to taking my analytics from Streamlabs and Twitch, combining them together, averaging them out, creating spreadsheets that I would keep for each individual day to see what my averages per day were. Um, and then those would break down into several different graphs that I paid attention to. And if the numbers started declining, I started feeling bad about myself and that I wasn't entertaining enough and that maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And about a month ago, like, cause like I'd seen a couple of my buddies kind of quit for a while, like Mega Magwitch.
Yeah.
You've met him.
Yes.
Um, he's such a good dude, and he loves his family very much. And and he also like streamed for a long time, and he just was like, you know what, guys, I'm packing it in. I've got nothing interesting to say. I'd rather pack it in and do my time there than flail in front of you guys and feel like I'm failing.
Mhm.
And so like ideas like that kind of entered into my mind as well. And I kind of let that move my experience alongside of it, right?
Yeah.
So then I started like I was like I should like I want to get partnered. I'm going to put my mind toward that. I'm going to put everything that I have into that. And then I just started following numbers and the numbers started to swirl around in such a way that like I was just becoming depressed about the whole process, about even getting up and trying to make stuff. And Jenny and I went to San Diego for a week for a wedding. It was the same week as Guardian Con.
Yeah.
And during that time, I didn't stream or do anything with Twitch or anything like content creation wise. I just kind of like sat and like I got to hang out with Jenny in a city that we didn't know. And I got to appreciate my time with her a lot more and really think about like what my end goal is. And like when we got back, I started doing Destiny Digest and everything. And then but over the course of all this, I'm still watching my numbers pretty heavily until probably 2 weeks ago
Okay.
or whenever I put out that tweet.
Yeah, that was roughly about a week or two ago, yeah.
Week or 2, yeah. And it's like because it wasn't making me feel any better about myself, like chasing the number. And there have been days where it's just like, "Man, I don't wanna do this." And then I'd show up and do it for, like, my 4 hours of time that I dictate,
Mhm.
but I didn't have the energy to do it because I was depressed about the thing that I was doing, and then it showed in my work. It was the bad show. Like,
It was the phone it in show. It just
it was a string of phone it in shows, and it wasn't until, like, I s like, I was like, "Fuck, man. I'm not enjoying myself doing this."
Mhm.
And, like, doing this to myself and watching the numbers, like, grow and rise. I get that that's a game thing. Like, the reason why you play Destiny or any looter shooter is to see the number grow, right?
Yeah.
And if you start trying to gamify your life and trying to gamify, like, your profession, then you're gonna see, like, numbers grow and numbers, like, wane, but do you feel any better about yourself at the end of the day? And if your answer is yes, then cool, rad. I'm glad that you can separate yourself out from a series of numbers. Personally, like, in all my creative endeavors, I've had a really hard time doing that,
Yeah.
and my enjoyment kinda waxes and wanes if I start paying a ton of attention to numbers. So, I just stopped, and if I need time, instead of, like today, normally, me a couple months ago would have been like, "It's 10 AM, I need to go live. I need to hit that button right at 10 AM because that's
Yeah.
when people know me when I'm gonna come on."
Mhm.
Today, I hit it at 10:30 because there was Jenny made breakfast and we ate together, and Like, I just needed a little bit more time to wake up and relax before jumping in, and, like, I did a 7-hour stream and had a lot of fun doing it the whole day. Like, I did Borderlands, and then I just kind of fucked around and deleted stuff from my vault
Yeah.
and, like, just got rid of like, mods that I don't need and, like, things here and here, and then, like, the tail end of the stream, we did private matches, like, random roll private matches. Like, you
Yeah.
hit the randomize button on dim,
Mhm.
you play Rumble against however many people are in the party for, like, an hour and a half, and you just fucking have fun, and then at the end of it, you don't check your numbers because you just had a lot of fun on stream. W If you know that numbers are gonna hurt your ego, which you need in order to hit the button, then why look at them?
Yeah. I've
And
noticed
so
that whenever I get really focused on the numbers or I get really down on the numbers,
yeah.
it's been something that I've been really like. I usually with Twitch, like I don't have the viewer count up. It's never on when I'm live.
Mhm.
Um, it's just not something I care about because it's always been my mindset. You know, whether there's 0 or 1,000 people, I'm going to be doing the same
Right.
thing. Obviously, I'll be reacting a lot more if there's more people in chat. But beyond the same thing, you're still going to be yourself. And if somebody randomly happens to click on your stream, they're just going to see
Yeah.
you sitting there playing a
Appreciate
game.
them.
Yeah. Even if you don't
And
know they're there, like you always act like there's somebody
yeah.
there because there's going to be a ton of people that are there that are just listening that you don't even know because there's people that just won't say a single thing in chat.
Yeah.
Um,
And, like, with hosts and raids and stuff, sometimes people come over from those, and they just are there, you know?
yeah,
Like, they're just kinda riding the wave.
I had a
They're channel
really
surfing with you.
I had a really hard time getting used to like hosts and raids and like how they worked on Twitch
Mhm.
because sometimes a lot of them come with you. It depends on the streamer who hosts you.
Right.
Sometimes they hype up, we're gonna go host Dan, let's get it going, you know, hearts and chat,
Yeah.
whatever. Hype it up super bad. Sometimes they just they don't even tell you who they're hosting. They put one link in chat and then they host.
Right.
And so
So,
like
me.
so like I stopped caring because like sometimes I would be like there's a host of 50 people and I didn't see a single person say a thing, and it's like
Right.
I can't get mad about that. I got to continue doing my shit. Like I'm on
Right.
my grind. If these people come in from that stream, that's fucking dope. All that matters is that one person that said I'm gonna host this person. I appreciate the fuck out of them, and if any of them happen to come on, that's cool
Yeah.
too. Like
Yeah.
the,
And, like and you shouldn't for me, when I send somebody over to host a raid, I normally start the outro I start my outro screen, and my outro screen plays Tumblin' Tumbleweeds,
yeah.
and I look directly into the camera, and I start talking to the folks, and I'm like, "Here's I'm gonna send you to this guy, but before you guys head over there, before I hit the button to send you over, these are the things that I'm doing throughout the week. Um, this is like I'm sending you over to this guy because this is why I think he's important, or he's important to me because of this. And like just send him your love. Even like being in the room means something. It doesn't like if they're there for 5 minutes or like 30 seconds and they checked you out, like I feel like that's enough. I
Yeah.
don't like I get the whole like hype it up in chat. Yeah, come on. But like I almost feel like that's personally I feel like when you do that and then that hype goes away, it's like it's such a crush, right? It's like the wave came and it crashed.
Literally, like you gave that guy like shots of heroin for 100 days, and then one day you're like, nah,
Mhm.
nope, no, you're gone.
Right.
Because
Or
it
like
is usually what happens. Like sometimes you get the good ones where it's like it's slowly like the people kind of like fall away, or
yeah,
but there's like 5 people that are there that are keeping it going, whatever. So, yeah, I
right.
can understand that. Yeah.
And it's so I won't say who it is because I don't want to seem ungrateful. Right? But like I got hosted by like someone for like 1,000 people. 1,000 people
Yeah.
came into my chat. And I was on such a rush because I was like, "Holy shit." I saw that number and I was like, "Holy fuck, 1,000
Yeah.
people." And, like, so I, like, started, like I acted like myself, but, like, extra
Yeah.
myself when that happened. And I didn't pay attention to the numbers as they waned. I figure with a amount of people that large, they wane really heavily.
Yeah.
But what I was left with were his trolls. And so they started, like, kinda talking to me like they would normally, that streamer. And I was like, "All right, guys, chill the fuck out. Like, that may be how you do things over there, but we don't necessarily do things that way here."
Yeah.
And that then, like, changes that entire dynamic of that rush into
Yeah.
then a defensive mode. And it was a crazy thing. Like, I'm super grateful that, like, that person saw me on and sent their folks my way.
Yeah.
But, like, sometimes energy can be weird with a raid or a host. And it's not necessarily the person who, like, who sent its like, responsibility.
Yeah.
It's just
And like the rating and hosting is such a weird thing. I talked to
yeah.
I was talking about this the other day on stream, and I was kind of like, it's so difficult. There's not really a way to get discovered on Twitch. Like there just isn't a
Not
way.
anymore.
Not on Twitch. Like it doesn't happen. There's so many people that are streaming. It's not like you can just
Mhm.
click on a random stream and be like, this person's
I
dope or this
saw
person sucks. Like it's so
I
bad.
saw I
And
saw a number on, like, the Twitch Reddit the other day where it's
yeah,
like, if you have 20 person per like, on average, 20 people on average watching you, you're in the top 3%.
it's lower than that.
It's lower than that?
Yeah.
That's
It
crazy.
it's I'm pretty sure it's like if you're even in like have 15 like viewers like average, you're in the top 1%.
Yeah.
Like that's
Which is
insane. But I mean, if you
yeah.
look at it, I don't know if what analytics that what I'm looking off of came from Twinge. I don't know if
Okay.
that's just every single person on Twitch, because literally every single person, if they make a username, they can stream off of it. So I don't know if it's
Right.
that, if it's every
Yeah.
single user, or I don't know if they,
Or if it's anybody who hits the button.
yeah, or if it's anybody that at
Yeah.
any point in their time has hit the button. Because I mean, there was times 3 years ago that I had streamed, but I would have never even
Right.
considered myself a streamer at that point in time.
Right. Yeah.
But back into like getting discovered, like Twitch does not have a good way to get discovered at all. And
No.
I was making this out, and this kind of comes back to the raid and host. I was like, the only way you really can get discovered is if somebody hosts you,
Yeah.
and it's not necessarily a good thing that somebody hosts
Yeah.
you. Now, most of the time, if they're familiar with you, you're familiar with them. Like you're in their chat a lot. Maybe you're a mod of their chat, or vice versa. They know
Mhm.
you. It usually goes off pretty well. But whenever you
Yeah.
go from like, say somebody's got 500 viewers, and they're like, I've seen this guy's stuff on Twitter, or I know him, or I've played with him, whatever, I like him, I'm just going to send him a host because I know he would appreciate the viewers, he would appreciate the follows that he gets from it and whatnot. But that
Right.
person's stream and personality and the atmosphere that is in that stream can be so much different than what goes into the next one,
Right.
that literally not a single person that goes over and actually goes in that host would care for that person. Not necessarily that they're bad or anything, but it could just be
Right.
so much different. You could have,
It's just not the vibe they're looking for that day.
you could have like say some 37-year-old partnered streamer. He's got 400 viewers, and he's going and hosting some 19-year-old that he just
Mhm.
thought like was doing something super sick, and like his chat and their like those chats just don't probably mix very well.
Yeah.
They just probably don't. Or even if you go to vice versa, the super young chat going to the older chat, like they just don't mix. So it's like even a host, like half the time people don't even get the host, because I know as just sitting in there and being a mod of somebody's stream, like I go over and kind of post mod,
Yeah.
like if and see like if there's people that were banned in the prior channel, or if there's just people that were like kind of not doing things that they should have been doing, whatever. just to kind of see how things go. So I always go over if I'm in a stream that I'm a mod of and they host somebody. I always go over just to kind of see what happens. And sometimes like
Mm-hmm.
I won't even get sent over. Like it won't like
Yeah.
I will wait to see if the raid or the host thing sends me over. If not, I'll
Right.
always click on the link and I'll see it. And like sometimes it's like I'm the only person that types in chat off of 50 plus people, and it's
Right.
like this is literally the only way. The chance to get discovered or to even like this isn't even like a discover of seeing like thousands of people most of the time, because even if it's 1,000 people in a stream, how many people are actually there? But it's the chance
Yeah.
that one person with that many viewers picks you, and then those people actually get over there.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of sad, and I know it's a Twitch problem. I don't know if Mixer has anything better than that, but like
I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
at least on the other social media platforms, there is some discoverability.
Mm-hmm.
Like on Twitter, you can have any Joe Blow can have a tweet go absolutely
Blow the
insane.
fuck up. Yeah.
You can do the same thing on YouTube. You can be nothing. You can make one video. I had one video that I posted on YouTube in like 2008.
Yeah.
It was a 7-second video, and it had 150,000 views.
Wow.
One video, 7 seconds. I think that there was 10 companies that asked me to use it in in a bunch of different promotions. Now this was a long time ago when
Right.
YouTube was still pretty new, but it's like one thing. So like, I don't know. It just kind of hurts me with discoverability. It's kind of talking about numbers and hosts. It's kind of a rant that I went
Mhm.
on to, but
Yeah.
it's
No, I understand. Like, because I've been there recently.
yeah.
And it's so what I've been on, the kick that I've been on lately, and it's not it shouldn't be a kick. It should be like just something that you like take in, is that people have busy lives and they have time that they're able to allocate. And sometimes people want to watch a movie, people want to watch a television show, people want to listen to music or a podcast. Um, or sometimes they want to stop in and check out like a streamer, or like they have a friend who's a streamer, or they made friends with somebody that they watch play a video game, and they trust them with either because of either their information or their personality. And it's all about you appreciating their time and making it worth their while to come and visit you.
Yeah.
And it's not about like a couple years ago there was like an article about like Twitch streamers, the new geishas. And it's like it's not that. you know
uh,
it's like I I feel like I met you through streaming.
yeah.
I would consider us friends.
Yeah.
Like we don't talk a lot, but
Uh,
like we've the interactions that I've had with you have impacted me enough and have meant enough to me that I would call you a friend over an acquaintance.
exactly. Same here.
And so like it's about appreciating that over that person as a number.
And that's what it gets to. Like, I guess people from the outside don't really see it. The people that come to your stream or the streams that you visit, like, those actually are your real fucking friends. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, some more
Like
so than others. And sometimes you find out the ones you
true.
thought they were, it's going to be like real life.
Yeah.
Sometimes the ones you thought they were aren't, because everybody's
Right.
got motives and stuff. And sometimes it's difficult. And I know people that you can't read body language whenever you're behind a television screen
Yeah.
when you're behind a
Well,
monitor, or yeah,
and that
you
was
can
kind of
read
like so
yours,
like
but not
yeah, exactly. And like I
not
may know
Twitch
you
name
as like
X41.
yeah, I may know you as Mitchy Bunt Cakes. Mitchy Bunt Cakes 69. I may know
Yeah,
you as Mitchy Bunt Cake 69, but I don't know that you're a CPA in your daily life.
yeah.
And I don't know that your name is like Kathleen. And
Yeah.
like so that last year when I went to Guardian Con, when I met you initially
Mm.
in real life was It was weird because, like, I had just joined Planet Destiny. It was I had lost my job prior to that summer. My community helped fund my trip there, which is astounding, which is fucking insane. And I get down there and I mean I'm you're just you know how it is at like any convention or any like situation like that. You're just constantly barraged, right?
Yeah, it's kind of
And
sensory overload.
yeah, and it reminded me a lot of my least favorite thing at like shows was like the merch table.
Mhm.
Um or at least like how I had that outlook at the time. I had a lot of people that I knew as friends and everything, and like I enjoyed spending my time with them, but then I'd have people walk up that like I didn't know at all, but maybe they'd seen me on stream or something,
Yeah.
and they'd walk up and it felt kind of like those stilted conversations
You're kind of
at
like, uh.
yeah, and it's like I don't know if I should if like do you want the 12-inch vinyl or like do you want the CD? We got shirts for sale. Like I don't know. I've just never been like good at that side of things. But like there you're kind of like constantly barraged by like conversations and people and people like wanting of your time, but it's actually physical space now.
Yeah.
And like so I had a
You have to
hard
smell
time.
them now.
Yeah, exactly. And yet like your shoulder now smells like a conglomeration of all the deodorant or non-deodorant that they've worn that day.
Or just the person that,
And
you know, he person that lives in freaking Minnesota and is he's down in 90% humidity, 99-degree weather in
yeah,
Florida, and he can't
yeah,
help it.
he's ready.
this this brings me back to that same Guardian Con, which was the first one that I'd been to,
Yeah.
and the largest con that I've still been to because I just haven't. There's none that are big around where I live,
Right.
and the one thing that really caught me off guard, and it actually still makes me smile to this day, because it's somebody that I'd only played with like once or twice before,
Mhm.
and I had no idea what he looked like, and it's somebody you and I both know. It's Jebby.
Yeah.
Um, and he came up
No,
to me and he's
yeah.
like, "Will you sign this poster?" And I go, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Dude, I'm at that point in time, like, I had like 400, 500 followers." And I'm like, he's like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
dude." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then I remember like I
Sign
hung
it.
out with him for like the whole rest of the night after that. Him and
He's
his now
great.
and his
I
now
love Jebby.
fiance. And I'm like, this is so weird, but it's like awesome at the same time. Like, still, like, it was so
Yeah.
nuts to me. And but it still kind of it almost made me feel like I felt shameful for some reason. I don't know why. Like I
It's
did,
your Midwestern upbringing.
yeah. Like I felt shameful that this person was asking for my autograph, and I'm like, I have to sign. You know, this isn't my real name. I have to figure out really quick how to do this. Like, this is going on his
Yeah.
poster that he paid money for. There's other people's names that are actually, you know, do
Oh, let me
really
tell you
great
something.
stuff on here.
Let me tell you something. So after joining Planet Destiny, Moon had talked with the DCP folks about having the Planet Destiny team that was there, like, be at the table, at
Hmm.
the DCP table.
Yeah,
And so the first day, I think we had like 3:30 to 4 or something like that. And not a lot of people knew who we were. Probably still don't for the most part, unless like you really follow Planet Destiny from like when it was the DCP folks to now.
yeah.
Um, but people would just kind of walk up to the table and be like, "Oh, hey, what do you do?" It's like, um, I do this, and like this is who I am, and yeah, do you want me like what? It was just like kind of like putting on that hoodie of just like over um confidence.
Yeah.
And the like one kid brought up his scuff. He had just bought a scuff, right? And he wanted us to sign it. And I was like, well, shit, do I sign my real name? I was like, do I put my like initials down or do I like try to write Danfinity out? And I was like, you know what? The problem solved. I'll just do the symbol that Rotting Jackal came up. with for me.
Yeah.
Haven't practiced this in the past, haven't practiced it since because it turned out so bad. And I tried to do my symbol and I botched it. And out there in the world, there's somebody with a scuff controller that they paid good, hard-earned money for with my shitty signature on it. And I feel so bad for them. And I'm embarrassed.
Just looks
I
like a
embarrass myself.
just like a sloppy infinite.
Yeah,
Just like some drunk guy trying to I'll draw a
it
tattoo on you.
it looks like like the 6-year-old in the back of the room that's just like, "Look what I can do."
Did you sign it
It's
on a heavily trafficked piece of that controller?
I hope so. I wanna say it was, like, the inside of the right horn, you know what I mean? It
Yeah.
was, like so, like, hopefully, their hands have just, like, greased all up on that and just erased any semblance of my
Do you happen to know like still who the person was, or was it just somebody you
I
don't know?
have an idea,
You have an
but I
idea.
don't know. I have an idea,
Okay.
but I'm not 100%
I
certain
was just
because it
curious
could be
if it
that
was just
they
some
walked
random
up with the
guy and
same
he was just
person.
like, "There's a guy sitting at a
Yeah,
table. I think he's important. I'm gonna have him sign this."
yeah. Do you mind if I tell you, like, my favorite thing that I saw at that convention?
Yeah, go ahead.
Uh, so myself and let me see here, Molly Ann from Planet Destiny, we were both streaming to Planet Destiny at the time. I was on the podcast, but she was, like, mainly a streamer. Now she's a writer for the blog.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we were hanging out with my buddy Jopa. Now Jopa had gotten in on a press pass, quote unquote, through through Stack Up, right? Like the
Yeah.
military, like they give consoles to um folks who are fighting in foreign wars and veterans and everything. And
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's a really good organization. And he was writing for them at the time. Well, Guardian Con didn't have a specific press pass necessarily. They gave him like a special person badge, which was the same badge that they gave to every partner.
Okay.
So Molly Ann and I are just talking to him, and we're just having a conversation. It's a quick little 5-minute conversation, and this guy, comes from my right side, and I see him kind of like looking at Jopa, right? I see him looking at him, and I see him looking at his badge,
Yeah.
and he looks back up at Jopa, and I know the thought that was going through his head, and he was like, "Do I know this guy? Have I seen this guy before?
Yeah.
He's got the badge. He's got the same badge that everybody else has. But have I seen this guy? He must be somebody important because he wouldn't have that badge." And he kind of walks up and he interrupts like our conversation. He goes, "Can you sign this?" And like passes like
What was it to sign?
I think it was like a little notebook.
Okay.
Like a little like maybe like $2 notebook that you get like Walmart or something. And Joe was like, "Yeah, sure." And, like because he's a great guy and like he signed it. And like so that guy like takes it and he looks at it and he doesn't recognize the signature and he just kind of walks away. And I was like, "How many times has that happened to you? Like this entire convention?" Because this was like day 2, and he's like, "It's happened quite a bit."
That's what I wonder. Is this guy is like sitting there going like, I have no idea who this is, but
I have no idea who this is, but he's got the white badge,
he's
so it
got a
must be somebody important.
badge.
He
I'm
must
gonna
be
find.
somebody.
Hold
I've seen
on.
this guy
I have
before.
an idea. I got a notepad in
find
my
out.
backpack. I'm gonna give him the right signature down, and then I'm gonna see who it is.
Yeah.
And then he
Do I
can't. Then,
recognize?
the signature's illegible.
Yeah. It's so weird. It's so weird. But like, I don't know. Like it was the convention was just so weird because like I got to meet so many people, and you had mentioned something about like not meeting your heroes. I am like kind of the poster boy for that. I have
Yeah.
always had a bad time meeting my heroes, and like I think I've told you about this, but I met Andrew Bird once. Do you know
Mm,
who he is?
the name sounds really familiar.
He's a whistling violinist.
Okay.
and he was on like My Morning Jacket's Z. He has gone on to become an indie darling, and he
Okay.
is like yeah, he's a very talented dude and somebody that I looked up to for a very long time. And we played in Cincinnati. We played at Midpoint Music Festival, which is a music festival where they take all sorts of shops, things that aren't supposed to be music venues, and they make them music venues. And this year they had a main stage in their new park. And the main stage, we opened on Friday
Mhm.
at 5:30, so nobody saw us because everybody was getting off work.
Yeah.
And then it was a band called the Pomegranates, which were awesome. They were an awesome Cincy band.
Yeah.
Here We Go Magic, which was another indie, like, kinda like band at the time, and then Andrew Bird, he closed it out. And so we play the show, we watch him play, we're parked behind the stage, which is about a lane and a half of traffic,
Mhm.
right? Like, they barred that off from the street so that the artist could park directly behind the stage and load on. This was at the time that I was driving the Grand Marquis to the shows, and we parked directly behind the stage. We're coming back, and like I wasn't drunk, but I had had just enough to like work my courage up, right? Like to be like I can meet anybody. And so I come out and we're walking back to the car after seeing some buddies play shows at Midpoint, and Andrew Bird is riding his little white bike in the park, and he stops over by his trailer that is connected to his bus,
Mhm.
and he's talking to his manager, who is his brother. His
Okay.
brother is his tour manager, and they're talking, and I walk up to him. Now, what I failed to mention prior is that he's famous for not liking to meet people.
Mhm.
But my intent was I was going to meet Andrew Bird. So I had worked up this guts, and I walk up and I was like, I go, Mr. Bird, and he looks over at me, horrified. And I reach out my hand, and he reaches out his, and like I'm shaking his hand, and it's a limp fish. Like it's a sweaty limp fish on his end, and I'm just shaking it. I was like, "It's such a pleasure to meet you. I love all your music." And like all this word vomit just fell out of my face, and he looks appropriately afraid. And then my bassist was with me because we were car buddies, and he walked up and he shook his hand as well because he's like, "It's only polite to meet Andrew Bird after
Yeah.
like what Dan just did." So he's like, "Andrew Bird, nice to meet you. I appreciate your music, but." So he needs to get into my car so that he can drive us home from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
It's roughly a 2-hour drive to Indianapolis, and it's not early. I have locked the keys in my car. Andrew Bird, after encountering both of us, has now raced onto the bus, and they are eagerly anticipating to leave. Uh, I can't move my car because my keys are in it, and the bus driver comes out and is like, "What's going on?" And so we give him the situation. Yeah, it's okay. I've done the same thing. Don't you worry. It's okay. Old professional. And so we end up calling like a guy to come and like a locksmith. It's not going to be there for another like hour and a half. Turns out 2.5 hours at the end of the story.
Ouch.
And then, but the Andrew Bird's bus then has to thread the needle around my car in this lane and a half wide thing of traffic to get out. And so I'm just horrified the entire time. I'm like, I met a hero of mine, and it didn't turn out great. So
Yeah.
now every interaction I have with somebody that I looked up to, or maybe that is like a peer, I was super nervous when I met Jay Sniperton. Damn it to hell, I was nervous meeting him too.
You were nervous to meet Jay?
I was nervous, yeah,
That was like
because like
it was like the most casual meeting when I met him there. Like
Aura,
it was in the hotel lobby, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm
yes,
Peter Pumpkins." He said, "I know who you are," and like we hugged each other, and
yeah.
that was it.
See, Aura, anybody. I met Briar Rabbit and I said, "I'm Danfinity." He goes, "I know who you are." I was like, "Well, fuck, what?" Like, how? Like, I didn't what? And so, like, it was a whole thing where, like, I'm just bad at it. I'm bad at meeting people that I look up to. And so I've gotten better with it over time, I feel. But I could be absolutely wrong next year when I go to GCX. So we'll all find out together, I guess.
All I learned was that if I wanted to meet somebody that I liked at that Guardian Con, that to give somebody else my phone to take a picture if I wanted to take a picture. Because for every
Yeah.
single selfie that I took,
Yeah.
for some reason, most people pick their phone up when they take a selfie because it's
Yeah.
better lighting. You look thinner. I was
Yeah.
pointing my phone down.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you had the double chin rolling,
Oh
and it was
yeah.
like it was dark on your forehead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that.
So I remember,
So here's
like T-Rex had a little tiny like meet and greet, and like he just kind of like, I'm just going to
yeah.
stand by here and see who says. So I went up to him. One of my friends that actually introduced me to Destiny and to Twitch really likes T-Rex. Well, he
Right.
did because he's my buddy Panda that passed away. But I
Oh,
I
okay.
recorded a video and I said, hey, Panda introduced me to you and all this stuff, and he's like, oh, I know who that name is. Like I see him all the time. He's been around for a while.
Yeah.
So I recorded a little thing of him saying hi to Panda. He's like, I wish you would have picked the phone up. So I got really self-conscious after that. So
Oh my God.
I made sure
So
that nobody, I didn't take any other selfies. Somebody else took a picture with me.
the second year of Guardian, or the second day of Guardian Con last year, I was so hungover because everybody just kept feeding me beer that first night.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that like I just felt like dog shit that entire like first maybe hour and a half of the day. And Travis and Schaefer, like some buddies of mine who are in my clan current meta, they were like, "Well, Cosmo and DMG are over there. They're taking photos with people, and I'd like to meet them and like, get to tell them that I appreciate what they do." And like, so I was like, "Okay, I don't really feel like meeting them because I'm not in my best state right now." And they were like, "Come on, like just come on." And so I was like, "All right, fine." So I went. They met them without a hitch. It was fine. I still stake that if I never do anything at Bungie, if I never get invited to Bungie, it's because of this interaction. Um, like I just went up there and I shook Cosmo and Dylan's hand. I was like, "Thank you guys for the work that you do on Destiny. I work at Planet Destiny. I just started working with Planet Destiny, and would love to have you like on the show sometime." And they're like, "Do you want to have a? Oh, that's rad, cool. Do you want to like take a picture with us?" And I was like, "No, I'm good." And like, meanwhile, like as soon as I said no, like the look on their face of just like, "What the fuck is this guy in line for?" Like, kind of like went over the face, or maybe I'm projecting that. I don't know, but it's like the whole thing.
So they're like, this guy could have just fucking sent us a DM on Twitter to.
He could have sent us a DM on Twitter, and we would have
Just,
respected him a lot more.
we probably wouldn't have ever seen it or responded, but like, I don't know.
Right, but at least we would have seen. At least we would have. He would have had some semblance of pride or whatever. So yeah. Anyway, it was a whole thing, but yeah. So I don't know. It's just weird. You just gotta just be yourself. Just be yourself. Enjoy your time,
One of those
and
things,
don't.
whenever I've learned that, you always think it's really, really cheesy when you're younger, then they tell you if you get really angry or if you get really anxious or anything, you just breathe.
Yeah.
I never really
It's.
like thought I like took it seriously.
Mhm.
It didn't really like click for me until I saw
Yeah.
this Buddhist monk saying, you can meditate any time of the day. All you gotta do is just, mindfully breathe. And I'm like, this
Yeah.
asshole, like just like all these other people have been saying this whole
Yeah.
time, and I'm like, oh,
But
it
he
had to
just blew
come,
your mind
it
open.
had to come from a Buddhist monk for me to realize that like that is actually like so true. Like it's seriously like it helps me with like anxiety, like just like on the
Yeah.
spot anxiety, like it's like slowed down so much. Like there's been so many times like at work, like there's a specific person that just really bothers me, and every time I just kind of like turn
Mhm.
away. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
For me, it's when like OBS was crashing a lot before I got the new graphic card. And like the first few times I got fucking like I was like a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
And like the like the more I think about it, it's like, Dan, what do you do in every other situation where it's like this? Like, you normally like try to parse it out and do the order of operations. So just relax, take your time. You're on nobody's dime but your own. And like it's that really helps me kind of like clear my head.
Oh,
Also, I just said my name in the third person. I feel real weird about it.
that's okay. You probably talk to yourself in third person in your head anyway.
Yeah, kind of.
the,
Kind of.
the PC problems. You get everything fixed, and there's
Yeah,
one update
one thing.
somewhere that has something hidden in it that changes something that ruins everything.
One thing.
And you're just like, I just got it working smoothly like 3 days ago. Dear
Yeah.
God. Well, that's I think that's all I have for the Pump Pod today.
Okay.
Dan, thanks for agreeing to come. This was really fun, and I learned a lot.
Dude, I love and appreciate you, and thank you so much for asking me to be on the show. I feel honored to be like in the first 10.
Yeah, you
Not
are.
as honored as I'd be to be like in the top 5
You
or maybe like
are. You are the
first 1.
number 7, which is Bungie's
But
favorite
like,
number.
yeah. Yo, oh.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. Still won't be invited. I guarantee.
All right. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, buddy.